what based on your experience of things that you've seen out there are some red flags that people should be aware of, either looking at a coach or an advisor? So languaging on their website, guarantees, anything like that.
My dad always said, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. So I look for things that sound extraordinary. And if every single person's having an extraordinary experience, I'd want to talk to some of them and say, yeah, why? What's up with that? Because I'm a bit of a skeptic with that. But I would say guarantees. It's great if they have coach training and certification. Red flags would include things like no schooling whatsoever in it. I override that in my own mind when somebody has had years of doing it successfully, because I know people who have been coaching since, like, I went to school in 2010, 2011. And I know people who have been doing it for 10 years before that and 20 years before that. They were forming the thing before the certification was there. That was me as a leadership trainer at Vanguard. I was there when there were no classes on how to do it. And so as we certified, then I became a certifier, but I never had the certification. So I think there's people out there still, they're
Mhm.
usually in retirement now, but there are people out there who have been doing it for a long time. They're highly effective and they have no coach certification whatsoever. I think look for coach certification though, look for an ACTP school. And for those that are watching this, don't know what that is, that's an accredited coach training program because it's an all-in vetted by the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, before you ever step foot in class. I also like it when people are learning new things, and you can see that on their LinkedIn profile. You can see that they're keeping up with where the world is headed. Because it would be easy to look at this face and this hair and go like, but I can teach you things about AI that other people probably couldn't. I'm thinking about how that scarily starts to replace us as coaches, if it does, and what that means to all of us. So don't judge the book by its cover. What are some of the red flags that you look for when you look at coaches, if
You
you
know,
were to bring one?
it's really funny. It's the same thing that attracts me. I'm like, oh, this is a really nice website. I'm like, oh, but what are they actually doing? Like
There's that.
if everything is so shiny and pristine and like all these perfect pictures, I'm like, how do they
Mhm.
actually show up in session? Or I'm immediately looking at, are they trying to sell me on their framework, on their package?
Yes.
But yeah, if you're not certified, I'm not taking you seriously.
Yeah.
It's just like to me, I need the code of ethics. I need you signing on to
Yes.
core competencies. Like you got to be on my wavelength, especially as an MCC. Like I wouldn't just go and work with
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah, that would be bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, if I was working with
Yeah.
an advisor, obviously they don't have to be certified. I would want someone who has a longer trajectory in business. Like if you just started your business 2 years ago after being, middle management and nothing higher, that doesn't really serve me in any way.
Right.
So it's something that I've got to like want to excel to or exceed to be
Yes.
attractive. And honestly, that's why I've had the hardest time in finding coaches and advisors because
Yeah.
I can run circles with
Yes,
people.
you can. Yes.
I am a mental
Yep.
gymnast when it comes to deflecting from my shit.
Yep.
I know this about myself. There are only two people in my life that will not fall for it. Ebony is one of them, and my husband
Oh
is the
yeah.
other.
Ebony falls for nobody's shit.
Ebony's like, cut the shit.
Yeah.
I'm not giving her last name out because I don't want her to get
Right. No,
harassed.
no, no,
But
nope.
this like there's very few people that can catch me in that space, and it's been a challenge of mine because I always say coaches should have coaches, therapists should have therapists. Like we all should have people within our profession
Right.
that are challenging us to be better. And
Right.
I have a lot of coaches around me, but it is a major gap, and it's not a blind spot because I see it loud and clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
But it
think
is hard to find. It
it
is hard to
is.
find them. And I'm like that with like leadership training. I want to go learn new things. I went to an AI thing.
Man.
I
I
could have
just
taught the class.
I just
You
did
know?
one, Laurie. I called them out. I said, this is putting people in harm's way. You are telling people to go and just teach this about, I'm not going to give the certification. You can go on LinkedIn and find out which one it was.
Yeah.
But it was basically like about team dynamics. And I'm like, there is so much underlying trauma here that this is gonna, like, even the best well-behaved teams have it under
Yes,
the surface, and it is
they
only a matter
do.
of time before they pop off. And hate to break it to you, the ones that are investing in this for their team are the culprits.
Yes.
They're doing
Yeah,
it.
I find that so often. It's
So,
like, go fix those people. And I'm
well,
like,
they had labeled, it was like one of the last slides of the last modules, and it was like the unhealthy behaviors. I said, these aren't unhealthy behaviors, these are stress responses. And the
yeah,
fact that you're making it about the person experiencing the unhealthy behavior is victimizing them further instead of giving them a space to actually flush it out.
right.
Like, what the
Yep.
mm,
Seriously.
so mad. So you know what I did? I took their model and I'm combining it with the 4 stages of psychological safety, which I love, and I'm turning it into my own model. And I will give them credit and sourcing, but it's junk. There is so much flipping junk out there.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, there
spent
really
money
is.
on it. I was so mad.
There really is. And there's the experience that you have of sitting in the room with people and understanding that. And, like I said, I've done the degrees and the certifications and years of sitting in there and you know what else really helped me? I had this great boss, Pam. And Pam came into the back of the room whenever I trained, and she was who taught me to facilitate.
Mm,
She wrote down every single thing I said and did, then made an impact column, and then discussed keep it, kudos, do more of it. And that was as helpful, if not more so, than now this one, is that what you intended?
hmm
Like, no, I don't even remember what happened. And then, okay, well, this is what happened. What would you do differently next time? And I could think it out in the quiet of a conference room where you're sitting down talking to this, and there was no punitive. Pam didn't have a punitive bone in her body.
Yeah.
She was somebody that thought there was great things in everyone. And I remember her asking three of us who were cynical thinkers versus Pam the feeler one day, well, don't you find something good in everyone? And the three of us looked at each other, I was much younger then, and went, no.
Mm-mm. Did you ever do positive intelligence?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there's this whole thing in positive intelligence, which is if you disagree with someone, find the 10% you agree with. And I was like, fuck that. I'm like, you're a piece of shit. I don't want to talk to you. But
Yes,
I do use
yes,
it with my clients because it challenges them to think curiously of like what is the
it
one piece
does.
that they agree with on they're on the same team. So it's like
Right,
you have to get along with these people. Like I
right.
don't.
And I think it's funny too that you and I can teach things, and then as human beings, we show up and like, I gotta say, I other people put them in the well, those people kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not a lot, but often enough. And I have people who will call me out on that, and sometimes I just want to sit and complain
Mhm.
with friends, and
That's
then
why I
say,
started this show, Laurie.
right. I don't know what came over me. I'll go back out and do better.
Yeah.
So,
We have to allow ourselves to be human. And sometimes you got to just release and vent. Like we are not meant to be
yes.
contained in perfect beings.
No.
We can
Right.
become better, but in order to do that, you got to let the messiness show. And that's where the teaching and the learnings come from. Like
Absolutely.
literally like 3 weeks ago, I couldn't get off my couch because I was like just in a state of where's the world, where's my business, what's my life, who am I? And I
Yes.
had to like have a very honest conversation with myself and like my inner circle. And it's like, holy shit, a lot of people feel like this. You're not
Yes.
alone. How about you get ahead of this and actually like talk about it instead of hiding?
I like that point of view very much. The get ahead of it. What can I be doing now? Because when I worked in corporate, oftentimes they came looking for, where can we reduce heads? And of course, training was one of those places.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really short-sighted thing. You should be doing more training when the
Absolutely.
world is sucking,
Yeah,
and then be ready for when it takes off again, because these things are cyclical. And
they
I
are.
have watched them over decades now, like go down, go back up. Is that a bump? Is that going to correct? What's going to happen here? It's going to come back. It always does.
Yep.
And so why not be ready for when it goes
Yeah.
back up?
Now is not the time to hide. Now is not the
No.
time to like sit back and wait for someone to tap you in. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of people, like the business owners I've been talking to, a lot of them have been very fortunate to have business just flood in. And I said, so you and me too included,
Yeah.
I have never had to go out and get business.
Got it.
And this is now the time you got to be a hunter, but
You do.
you got to figure out what your new bait is to
Yeah.
lure them out and to get them in. Not that you want to kill your clients, but you want to be
No.
able to seek them out and provide value. And I
Right.
think a lot of people have gotten away with a lot of fluff. And I think that this is the opportunity to really transform your messaging, your value proposition, and also like your level of service. Like,
Yes.
this is not the time to succumb to mediocrity.
Right. I would agree. And it's about having really good people on your team that can propel you forward. I've had great people to work with over time, but there have been times when there were I said to my husband, I want to go find a place where I can be the dumbest person in the room. Like, I want to go find that.
Right?
And I want to find where I'm not sitting back thinking I could teach this stuff. That would be my ideal situation. And I have found that a couple of places finally. But I think I just heard a really good story from someone, and I'm going to like really clean the details out of that because I don't have permission to share. But this person is a really high level speaker and has multiple businesses and, came from rough beginnings and all those things. Could have gone off the rails and then military and now like really killing it. And this person loves this one brand, and the brand just got sold
Mm,
for hundreds of millions, but not a billion. And they are good enough at what they do that had they known that brand was going to get sold for that, they probably could have put financing together to get it themselves. But what was happening was before that brand was sold, the person was pitching them to speak or work with them or whatever. And nobody on his mastermind group was saying, the hell with that, you should buy it.
hmm
And somebody else bought it. So he had just landed the deal and then it got sold. So the message there is like, are you surrounded by people who are like, good job?
hmm
Or are you surrounded by people who say, Lauren, let me throw something at you and see what happens.
hmm
And if it scares you, it's probably the right thing to really think about,
Yeah.
you
My
know?
my go-to when I work with clients, especially when I do innovation mindset, I go, does that number make you want to throw up? No?
Right. Yeah.
Increase it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
And that's not
And
just financially, it's more of like efficiency or adding headcount or reducing expenses or things like that.
yeah.
But if you're not challenging yourself, then you're staying in the same patterns. And that's why, man, this is like another offshoot conversation of that why SMART goals just need to stop being used because all they're doing is replicating what you've always done. There's nothing
Yes,
that's
very
stretching
much.
you out of having to learn. There's no learning goals in it.
Yes. Yes. And I wrote something at one point, and the bummer is I've got people on my team who are really superb and are into the neuroscience and the why and all that kind of stuff. And I always say, like, I don't need to know why, I just need to know that it works.
No, I
Uh,
have a video of like why you need to stop asking why.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Simon
I
Sinek needs to
agree.
shut up and
Somebody said to
your
me
why
five whys.
doesn't
I'm like,
matter. Your why
I
doesn't
know.
matter.
I'm going to slap you if you make me do five whys.
Like, seriously. Also, in
Yeah.
coaching, we don't ask why questions for a very good reason because all it does is circle you backwards.
Yes.
And we go present to future. So
Exactly.
cut it out. Just cut it
I
out.
would even question best practices
Mm-hmm.
because of what you just said about SMART goals.